right. You graduated, didn't you? That's beautiful.
I take some more pictures.
Oh, those are so sweet. Yeah, that one of you next to the phone.
Oh, okay. That's great. Okay. Hey everyone. It's Ellie and
Tara, and this is
the 180 podcast. Oh my goodness. Okay, so people are hopping on, so welcome. We'll get started shortly, but right before we do, I'm going to say our social media. So if you guys ever want to check out like Instagram, TikTok, well, it's X, right? YouTube, Facebook, all of those, you could just search up 180 Shift and you can find us pretty much everywhere. But thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, check out our previous episodes. Tara, what did we do last week? I forgot.
Didn't we interview a guy who was the show producer for the October 7th attack in Israel?
Right, that's correct. That was crazy. So that was a first-hand experience, survivor from there. That was such an interesting like first-hand perspective of what happened that day. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so if you guys want to check out stuff like that, we got all sorts of stuff on here. Go ahead and do that. But we do have another great guest today.
Yes.
Tara. Okay, so our guest Dan here, and then remind us your last name again.
Kapelovitz,
because a lot of people do get that wrong, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now before we do, let's do our boba thing.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
It's a ritual.
Yeah, a little bit of it. So, okay, so.
Have you ever had
Ready?
boba before?
Yeah, a long time ago. I'm not going to actually partake in it. I'm just going to stab the thing.
Okay, well, you
Stab
better
it.
make it count then.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you
All
go.
right, I did
Perfect.
it.
Oh, that's
Tara,
so
come
hard.
on.
I did 2 tries on that.
It's okay. It's okay.
I got lazy.
Let's see. Okay, so people are hopping on, but why don't we start off by getting into your background? So
Okay.
who you are. Yeah, let's get started. Give us a quick rundown of your history, and then we'll kind of dive into that.
Okay, well, now I'm a criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles, and I go elsewhere occasionally, but I like to stay in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, actually, I was a journalist. I was a features editor at Hustler magazine for many years, not many years, like 3.5 years.
Okay.
I make films. I still do films, and we used to do this like psychedelic public access show. It's kind of like this kind of scene where like you get the studio and
Right, yeah.
have the multi-camera switcher and all that. But we would just go in the studio and just go totally nuts. We'd hit the switchers as fast as possible, throw the cameras around, and it's just like we didn't make any plan anything ahead of time. Just went nuts, and after 30 minutes, we'd have like a hit TV show, I guess.
Yeah.
So I did about 200 episodes of that. I'll have to get you
cool.
a DVD. I
That'd
don't
be
know if I have any.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or MP4, whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah, maybe we should. Oh, yeah, no one has DVD players anymore, but.
I still have one. No.
So, for those of us who do not know, what is Hustler magazine?
Oh, Hustler magazine was one of the, it still exists, I guess, but is one of probably the 3 major porn magazines. Larry Flint, who is kind of a legendary figure, started it 1976, and then I don't know if you saw the movie, but then there's a lot of landmark cases. The biggest one was Falwell versus Hustler, the big First Amendment case. They made a parody of him, and then he sued, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Hustler won. Someone tried to assassinate him in 1978. So
Really?
Larry Flint. So he was paralyzed from the waist down the rest of his life.
Wow.
And so it was I just sort of fell into the job. My friend had the job I had, and I was just writing freelance articles for him. And then when he quit, they offered me the job.
Yeah.
So I just sort of fell into it. And then we sent him actually to Afghanistan because Larry Flint was suing the Pentagon for the right to embed journalists with the military, and so we sent him out there to try to embed with the military. So he did a lot of intense stuff besides just putting out the magazine. So
Now,
So-
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But what was your main interest as a child? Was it like always in law, journalism? Like what was it? What was it?
Oh, more into music and film and
Okay. Well, you're still doing film.
video.
So.
Yeah. I still play music, by my, with the guitar.
Yeah.
I still do music stuff too. And yeah, I mean, I never really planned on being a journalist. So, like I said, I fell into it because I was
kind of just fell into it.
Yeah. And then I studied film actually in college and made films.
Right.
And then, but the things I make are kind of too experimental that I can't I don't make money or anything like
Right.
that. So I work as a lawyer, and as a kid, I thought about, when I was younger, doing criminal defense. I kind of always thought about it. But then after college, I was like, I don't want to go to college forever or go to school forever.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of time off before I went back to law school.
Yeah. So you kind of just like had law sort of in the back of your mind, maybe.
Yeah. I always thought maybe it might be cool to do, but then, yeah.
So you previously worked in the porn industry?
You could say that. I mean, I was the articles editor, and we did write about the industry, but we also we did a lot of political articles. Actually won the Project Censored Award for this article we did about depleted uranium being used.
I actually heard about that. What is that? I was wondering because I did see that in your bio. But explain a little bit about that.
Okay, depleted uranium is like this. They use it in I don't know if you've heard of these bunker buster bombs. They talked a lot about this in the first Gulf War.
Okay.
Like when we invaded Iraq, and then but it's radioactive because it's uranium. So all these, they had this thing called Gulf War syndrome, where our military is coming back with all these crazy ailments, and then the half-life is like thousands of years, so it contaminates the earth forever basically. And so people weren't really writing too much about it. There's some advocates we were interviewing, and so we wrote about serious stuff. We tried to write. We did a lot of political stuff, wrote a lot goofy stuff, like we had Anna Nicole Smith direct a photo shoot, and I interviewed her, and things like that, celebrity stuff, and
celebrity stuff,
and sex stuff, like weird fetishes or weird stories about directors and actors and things like that.
So just going back to that part. So you were writing stories about porn, or?
Well, sometimes I either wrote or edited all the articles that were in the magazine, which obviously a lot of people don't read, I guess, or they probably do actually eventually because,
they become super ultra fans
of the articles
of the magazine.
Are there any?
Like super mega ultra fans?
Oh, there are, yeah.
Okay.
You never heard of it?
No.
It's one of the most famous magazines in the world.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I mean, okay, so what made you, you were okay with doing those kind of articles, so what made that okay in your mind? Oh,
well, I'm not against pornography, as long as it's consensual and, but like I said, I didn't really, get too into the industry part of it. But, we did write about, all kinds of stuff. Like, trying to think of a good example. I don't know. Like a porn star ran for governor, actually, in the first recall election. We, interviewed her or things like that.
Okay.
Or Jenna Jameson, we'd interview her about her career. Or a director, this guy, he had these crazy stories where he would shoot in different countries and the government would try to kill him and he had to bribe them hundreds of thousands of dollars to get out of there alive. Just things like that,
Yeah, just random things,
Yeah, just newsworthy.
Now I did want to jump back to the depleted uranium, right? That award, what is that award? It's
like this group. I don't know if it's a nonprofit or what. It's called Project Censored.
Okay.
And every year, I don't even know if they're still around. This is a long time ago. It was
a little while ago.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost. They put out a book of the articles for all publications that they felt about stories that didn't get enough attention in the media, the mainstream media.
Yeah, so did they have to do with First Amendment rights and things like that?
Just anything. If there is some corporate polluter that nobody wrote about, or I can't think of any other.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, like this thing, or there's just some story that for some reason the mainstream media decided not to ignore, but it was an important story. They'd give it an award, and then they'd put out this book every year, and it'd have
a bunch of the
articles. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've never heard of that. That's
probably
actually
still
pretty
around.
Cool.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So just going back to the porn thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So what do you think that it's what do you think the effects of porn are on people?
Oh, people watch it.
Yeah.
It probably is bad in terms of like people getting numb to it, or like a lot of incels now out there. I mean, this is Generation Z's, I guess, generation. A lot of incels. It wasn't really part of my growing up. We didn't have the internet when I grew up, and so it wasn't like you would. I mean, to see porn, you basically would have to find some random copy of Hustler magazine or Playboy magazine. It wasn't like when you're. I mean, people now probably don't even remember the first time they saw pornography. It's probably before they can even,
Is that a bad thing?
No, I'm saying that's probably pretty bad. I mean, it's kind of weird, like, when I was growing up, it was like, yeah, maybe you'd find some weird neighbor's like stash hidden in the bushes or something. It wasn't like, and so now it's like, so I don't know. People say, yeah, people are having less sex now, I think, like kids or not kids, but I mean like people your generation, or they wait till like they're in their 20s or I don't know. I feel like my generation, I don't know. I mean, it's a Generation Z show or whatever, but I feel like we were more like independent. Like, like I got my driver's license the day. I was so mad because my birthday was on a Saturday. I had to wait till Monday to get my driver's license when I turned 16. And now kids, they don't even want to drive. They don't.
No, that's actually so true. Yeah, like me, I wait forever to get my driver's license. But like, I feel like there's so many different like things from each generation. It's so crazy how much things have changed, but then also stay the same in so many different ways. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, everything. People always.
Yeah.
Kids are kids. They rebel. Blah blah blah. Parents freak out. That's every year, every generation.
So how can porn be damaging to youth, like you said?
Well,
I mean, we talked about relationships.
Like, it kind of numbs. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really read stories about it.
So was it a mental thing, maybe, or?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done any studies.
Maybe spiritual. I don't know.
No. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I think it can be a little bit damaging. I mean, it is like it does release opium in your brain, right?
Opiates or not opiates.
Wait, opiates?
Not opiates. What do they call it?
It's like opiates, though.
Serotonin.
And usually with just like with something like opiates, the tolerance can go up. I mean, how have you seen? I mean, from being a publisher of the magazine, I'm sure you heard statistics of the people who were consumers, right?
Well, there's always the theory. There's always like alternate theories whether it's better for people to have this outlet of like looking at pornography.
Wait, how? Why would it be better at all?
Well, because they would use it to masturbate, and then maybe they wouldn't be so pent up sexually, and they wouldn't go out and rape people, and so maybe pornography is saving lives. Or then there's the alternate theory that it actually gets people more like more sexually aroused, more like obsessed with sex, and the exact opposite. I mean, it's always been those two theories, like, and no one's ever done a conclusive study on which is true or not.
So you just said to me that porn makes it so people don't have pent-up sexual desires, and then they don't rape people?
I said that's one theory.
That's a theory.
Yeah, you never heard that?
I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
Okay, well, I mean, there's some people that they can't. They're very shy, or no one wants to have sex with them.
But they're not too shy to rape someone.
No, I mean, they're not too shy to masturbate. And so they...
Well, shouldn't they be, like, encouraged to, like, go out and find a nice girl?
Well, yeah, they could, but I don't know. I mean, there's all these incels. I don't know what their deal is, if they look at pornography or don't, or...
I mean, is incels not the development of a generation, like... from the 60s, 70s, 80s, where you had more and more people becoming shy, not going out and getting partners, and just simply
back then,
becoming in a relationship with themselves?
The 60s and 70s, people were going out and like hanging out, and there's free love, and basically AIDS killed free love, but it's like people were way more like open back then.
Sounds like God killed free love.
I guess so. But
well, what is the definition of love?
Oh wow, that's deep. I don't know. That's a good question.
You can think about it.
No. I mean, free love. I'm talking about sex, but I mean, love itself is
jump onto a different topic, Tara.
Okay.
But okay, so kind of into your more of your background. I know that you did work with sort of the animal. What was it? Like helping animals.
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. Explain that.
Okay. Well, in law school, I was president of the Animal Law Society. It was a very small group. There weren't, that many people into it. Studied animal law. I worked for the Animal Protection Unit at the city attorney one summer between my first and second year, and they'd prosecuted animal neglect and abuse cases. And then I get a lot of cases of like animal rights protesters, and I do them pro bono, and they're like I had one. This guy was protesting against pony rides at Griffith Park.
I did hear about that one.
Yeah, they treat the ponies, and he kept getting arrested, and so I represented him. He actually now has a lawsuit against the city that's ongoing. I had some protesters that are protesting against the horse racing.
Okay.
And they were totally just like the security guard just like took their phones and did all this crazy stuff.
Right. So you would be like representing people who are standing up for animal rights.
Right.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually. Like how often are those cases coming up?
I mean, maybe like once a year. They're not that often.
They're not
if they get
like,
prosecuted.
big.
I mean, there's lots of protests, but
right. Yeah.
and then often they will get arrested, but then they won't. Then the police will submit the case to the DA or the city attorney, and they'll just reject it because they'll think it's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
But sometimes they do pursue it, and then you got to fight it.
Yeah.
So from what I just discussed with you,
Yes.
we actually got a comment that says pleasant honesty from the guest.
All right. Thank you.
So
I'm just telling it like it is, or how, I'm not an
Yeah.
expert on some of the stuff, like the meaning of love or whatever, but.
That is a pretty big question, Tara.
I don't know. I think it's kind of straightforward.
All right. Tell us, what is the definition of love?
Love is God.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good one. I don't know if that's the only definition that people use.
Well, I mean, it can also mean like affection and that kind of
so
stuff.
free love is free God.
But could love perhaps be warped without God?
It could be.
Yeah.
But you're saying, but love is God, then free love is free God. But then you said maybe God destroyed free God with AIDS. It's like a paradox.
Well, what about like from that book, Where the Wild Things Are, where they say, "We'll eat you up, we love you so." That's not nice. That's not good love. That's not the kind of love that I want in my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be eaten.
I haven't read that
But
in a
that's
while.
just a children's story.
There actually is there's an art exhibit now going on of that.
Oh, really? Where
at the Skirball Museum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So
it's
go
like
see that.
Maurice Sendak and Where the Wild Things Are. And
The
all
movie
that.
was weird.
Yeah, I wasn't into the movie. I'm not that into that writer, and yeah, I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah, but so talking about let's see, I'm trying to think because we've been jumping around.
Right. We can talk a little bit, because I know I met you at the debate for.
Actually, I did want to talk about that a little bit. So,
You met about a debate?
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of debate?
Well, I was running for district attorney, Los Angeles district attorney.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
And there was a debate at Porter Ranch.
Yeah.
And the audience was like these hardcore right-wing fanatics that worship this guy named Hatami. And the audience is just going nuts because I'm a defense attorney, and I was telling it like it is, because I was like the only guy that actually is in the courtrooms every day, knows what's going on.
Well, what is it like it is? What is that?
Well, it's because everyone thinks that Gascon, who's, now I lost in the primary. There's 12 of us running, so now the top two go to the election in November. And everyone's saying Gascon, he's so weak on crime, and all crime's going up because of him. And for one thing, it's not even true. The other thing is he's not weak on crime because his line deputies, the people actually file stuff and prosecute the cases, they rebel against him. They don't listen to him. They just go for the harshest sentences, overcharge, seek high bail, do everything possible to get a conviction. And so my critique of him was his directives are great, like what he says he's all for, but his deputies don't listen to him. And so that was why I kind of ran from the left to him, really, as more progressive. He's considered a progressive DA.
Right, yes, yeah.
And he, his directives or whatever are very progressive. And I am supporting him. You're hearing it here first. I'm endorsing Gascon. I did see him the other day at a fundraiser, and I told him, I'd probably endorse him, although it might hurt his campaign, actually. Who knows with my endorsement, especially after this show, the things we're talking about. Yeah, so that was, but so the people in the audience were just like hardcore, like Law and Order, like lock everybody up, and mass incarceration's awesome. And it was pretty funny because there's this guy, Hitami, who is a district attorney, and he brought all his like fanatic fans there who had like t-shirts and stuff. And when he did his thing, they're like, yeah, going nuts and stuff. So then when I went next to introduce myself, I was like, I did my spiel or whatever. And then I go, well, if you want to end crime and you're into justice and equal rights, vote for me. If not, vote for Hitami. And everyone's like, yeah, Hitami. Like they didn't really realize they're basically like cheering like the horrible stuff. So that's pretty funny.
So you did talk about how like you do support Gascon, right? At least right now you've endorsed him. But what sort of led you to throw your hat in the ring? Because if you like him, wouldn't you want to just like support him?
Well, no, because the thing I was saying is like, yeah, his ideas are good, but he just can't implement them. He kind of came in, rubbed everyone the wrong way. He just laid down these directives. His line deputies don't listen to him. I don't know if they listen to me really, but what I would do is I was going to hire tons of new people that were into justice and stuff. Okay. And I wasn't even going to run, but then a few cases, just the most ridiculous things were happening with.
What were they? What?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, one is, let me think of, they're filing frivolous things. Like I had a guy, he was charged with this fight it was like the lockup in the courthouse, and there was like a fight. And then he was charged with being one of the people who beat this guy up, and all they had to do is watch this video for like 5 minutes and just trace the people who beat the guy up back to where they sat down when they came in to arrest people, and they see my guy was totally innocent, and yet they charged him. Just things like that. But then they're always seeking like high bail. I represented a witness who he missed one court date, so the DA had him arrested, and the judge wouldn't even let him out of jail unless on $100,000 bail. I thought that was just ridiculous for missing one day. He wasn't even a defendant. He was a witness of a crime, so that was crazy. Yeah. I had these frivolous, I actually had an animal case. It was like a cat ownership dispute case. And then
a cat ownership dispute?
Yeah, it should have been like on Judge Judy, if anything, but it was like, they filed this misdemeanor cat theft charge, although the cat loved my client and would escape from, they had share ownership, and then the cat loved my client, would go there. And so if they charged my client with like theft, but then because we were about to get the case dismissed, like with a diversion type program, they filed this frivolous animal abuse case saying because even though she spent like $5,000 on vet bills, they said she didn't take the cat to the vet like a few weeks earlier like she should have, and therefore it's felony. And it was like the most ridiculous. And I worked at animal protection. I was talking. It's like that we would never file something as animal neglect is like when you tie a dog to like a post and don't feed it, and then it's in the elements. It's not like going to the vet a few weeks earlier. And so they did that only to avoid getting the It's like totally vindictive prosecution.
It's like this cat has Stockholm syndrome.
Right. I know. I feel bad for the cat because the cat had to go back to live with this lunatic. But anyway, so that's all these few cases. Just they were doing the craziest stuff. So I was going to run. I was like, nah, I'm not going to run. And then all this stuff happened. I go, I'm going to run just to get out there. I know I wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the money and I'm not an incumbent. And,
it gets a little tough out there,
Yeah, there's no way I was going to win. For a second, I was like, oh my God, what if I win this? But
it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of work. But goodness. You have worked, how many years now have you worked as a criminal defense attorney?
About 13 years, I think. I've been an attorney for 15 years.
Okay,
but
15,
I worked at a law firm first, which was a nightmare. Never work at a law firm.
Never work at a law firm.
Like a big, corporate law firm. That was horrible. Then I clerked for a federal judge, and then I basically started my own practice.
Yeah. And so, what would you say is one of your favorite cases you've worked on as a criminal defense attorney?
Actually, one of my favorite ones was it was a protest case. It wasn't an animal rights one, but these our clients had protested at UCLA. Steve Mnuchin, who was like the Treasury Secretary under Trump. I don't know if you know who he is. And anyway, he was Treasury Secretary. He's kind of a right-wing guy, kind of nutty.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went to speak at UCLA, and then they protested and kind of just yelled some stuff. Well, they didn't really stop the thing. They just, and they each got arrested and pulled out. And then they all got charged with like disturbing the peace and trespassing, resisting arrest, things like that. And so we all went to trial. We won after when the jurors read the first thing when they read the verdict, it was like the foreman's like, absolutely not guilty, and then they hugged our clients like right in their courtroom, and so that was a fun case because it's, we had 4 attorneys because we had 4 clients, and we're all just fighting for their rights, and we just totally did it and won, and then so that's always fun when you fight for the First Amendment. And
yeah, so you're a pretty big First Amendment kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. Now did you, I'm pretty sure you did go to UCLA, was it, right?
Yeah, I went to UCLA Law School, yeah. Okay,
yeah. So having gone to UCLA, what was your perspective on the current issues with the pro-Palestinian and Israeli conflict that was there?
Oh, right. Okay, you might not want to hear what I have to say about this.
No, I do.
No, okay. I think a lot of these protesters are totally insane. They're anti-Semitic. Not all of them, and maybe some have like their heart's in the right place. Obviously nobody likes people getting killed, and the war is out of control. I've never been a fan of Netanyahu, but they won't even like acknowledge that like what happened on October 7th was bad. Like I've even talked to these people online, and like I'll say, well, do you condemn like raping Israelis? And they're like, they won't say anything, or killing people or beheading people. It's like, people are dancing in the streets and they think they deserve it. I mean, it's totally insane. Yeah. And then on the campuses, people are like, they're blocking Jewish kids from going to school. I mean, just things like that. It's insane. And I know, I guess in UCLA there was some counter protest thing.
Right,
and
there was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not for violence.
Right. There was a lot of craziness that happened at UCLA. How do you feel that the staff handled that situation? I
haven't followed it too much, really. I think at first they were kind of letting it happen, which is fine.
They sort of let it happen for about a week or so, and then they finally started like full force started,
I mean, I really don't care if they occupy buildings and whatever, I mean, when I went to college, people were protesting apartheid in South Africa, but they weren't like targeting students saying you South African scumbag, so it wasn't like that where they're like targeting other students. It's more like they're against the government or the school's investment and things like that. So that's a little bit different than what's going on. And a lot of teachers, professors, I hear crazy stories how they're targeting Jewish students and calling them out.
That's terrible.
And doing stuff like, so I think it's pretty outrageous. So that's what I think about it. But yeah, and I think USC, they could have let that woman speak. Who cares? Let her say. I'm more into free speech.
Yeah, free speech.
Let everyone say whatever they want, and whatever. And
now, when it, I just lost my point again.
Well, I have 2 different questions, but you're gonna have to pick the one that you're gonna answer. And
okay.
So, do you choose to stay in the Matrix, or do you choose to leave it?
What?
Well, and what's the other question?
No. That's the question. Do you take the red pill or the blue pill?
Oh. I forgot which one is which.
All right. Do you want to leave the Matrix or do you want to stay in this world?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if there is this.
Okay, you're going to have to go home and you're going to have to watch the Matrix. Okay?
I've seen it a long time
ago.
But
what I'm going to ask you, I'm picking one for you. So, so this rapper, he basically called out this other rapper for being like a pedophile who goes unchecked and basically like, just in light of the whole P. Diddy thing. I mean, you have people who are elite and they are running very illegal operations in their mansions, and they often go unchecked by officers and stuff like that. So how do you think, because we saw the current DA, we saw P. Diddy totally get, because that happened in LA. Is Beverly Hills part of the same LA County that?
Yeah, Beverly Hills is in LA County, but wasn't he in New York? I don't even know.
Well, one of his houses was in LA too. And, but anyway, we had this whole recent thing with Drake. I don't know if you heard about this. Now he's in Canada, but this other rapper just kept saying that in these elite circles, kind of only elites can police each other. the cops just completely, and I'm just curious from your perspective, have you seen any cases or anything like that where you see someone, you know, who's an elite just completely like get away with something like corruption kind of stuff at the DA level?
I don't know if I've seen it. I mean, I guess just in the media, not personally, like in my cases or anything. I mean, I think like, Harvey Weinstein, he got away with stuff for decades and everyone knew about it.
Yeah, I guess
Bill Cosby got away with stuff. Everyone knew about that. So yeah, I mean, even like Jeffrey Epstein, I think, he got convicted for something, but then he got like nothing, like a slap on the wrist the first time, because I'm sure he's giving tons of money to the DA out there, and Trump was getting away with stuff, I think, for decades with crazy stuff, and the DAs wouldn't do anything, and I mean, wealthy people often get away with stuff so I think they don't get charged as much. I think prosecutors all over just go after. It's easy to go after poor people who don't have the resources, and they're simple crimes or whatever that are, relatively easy to prove instead of these really complex things. I mean, I don't know the facts of like the Diddy thing. I just see him at a party once, and he was very rude to me, and so I said, well, whatever happens to him, screw him. Yeah. That's what happens when you're rude to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. That could have happened in New York, but I just know it's a problem for LA, and I have friends who've like got sucked into those circles, and it's just kind of depressing. So.
What do you mean? They're like victims of this?
No. Or? I mean, just like poor decisions, I think. You just like girls becoming escorts at a young age, just like, I don't know, for whatever reason. And then they just get sucked into that whole world of just like corruption and just, I don't know, just a lot of bad things that happen. And then you kind of just see that like, especially in LA County, it's just like, just kind of goes unchecked, just kind of just keeps happening. Like you said, like with Weinstein, it's just like, the story as old as time, right? So it's kind of just depressing.
So now we did. I don't mean to cut you
what
off.
does that have to do with the red pill, blue pill?
Oh no! If you would have said red pill, I was going to ask you about abortion, but
oh, you're just saying you had just two questions.
Just two random questions.
Random questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were asking if I really wanted to leave the Matrix.
Well, do you?
I don't even know if the Matrix exists. That's just a movie.
That movie is crazy. Okay, so we have 2 comments on YouTube. One of them was, my friend closed his bail bonds business. They said that the bail business was too much of a risk financially. I don't know if you want to give a take on that.
Okay.
Do you?
Sure.
Okay. Well,
we can ask the other one too.
Okay, and then there's a second one. Is, I like Jews, but I reserve the right as an American to critique any people or government.
Well, yeah, that's true. Obviously, I think. I can do that one first. Yeah, everyone has a right to critique anybody. I mean, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people, we can get back to that one. Let's go to the bail bonds. So the bail bonds, they think it's a risk. It's like, it's not, I'm not sure what he means as a risk. I mean, they get paid, 10%. Sometimes they go down to 5, 7, 8%. Let's say you have $100,000 bail, then you pay the bail bondsman, like, let's say 10%, $10,000. And they're taking the risk that you might take off. I've never had a case where the bail company lost their money. So that's not really a risk so much, and that's what they're getting paid for. I don't know if it means it's a risk because now people are against bail and they're trying to end cash bail, but then the bail company, they really fought against that. There was a new law that's supposed to come down, and then they put it on the ballot, and then they shot it down. So it would have shut down maybe the bail industry, but they have millions and millions of dollars behind them, and they fought it like crazy. So, and everyone's like, Gascon, he says he's against cash bail, but his deputies are all like, let's, seek high bail. So I don't think something could happen where they're put out of business, but I wouldn't worry about it too much if I was him. I guess he had to shut it down, but I don't know
What did you think about that $950 or less, like, misdemeanor thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. People are so against it.
What really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so basically it says if you steal something under $950, then it's a straight misdemeanor. And if you steal something more than $950, it's they call it a Wahlberg. It can be filed as a felony or a misdemeanor. So basically, people wanted the law when it came in. It's really popular because really, do we really want to throw in like shoplifters or people stealing like a candy bar in prison? Should they really get a felony for stealing like a candy bar or an apple or whatever? And then when people like all these smash and grabs are just running into stores and taking stuff, those almost always are more than $950. You steal one purse, that's over $900. That's $1,000, $2,000. So they're all charged as felonies. So it's this myth that like, there's nothing we can do because they're always charged as felonies anyway. And they also said, oh, Gascon, he doesn't even, he doesn't even charge people if they do this. That's not true at all. If you get arrested for going into a clothing store, taking tons of stuff, and you get caught, they're going to charge you with a felony. And so I think people have been emboldened by all these right-wingers, fear-mongers who are trying to say, oh, nothing's going to happen. So then, of course, they're going to commit like, if you tell someone nothing's going to happen to you, then you're going to do it.
No question. So are you saying that small businesses wouldn't be affected by that? So they're not being affected by the thing. If somebody doesn't steal a lot of, clothes things.
If like a store in K-Town makes $600 for the past 2 weeks and somebody can take it without really getting any consequences, doesn't that kind of damage like a family business?
But there are consequences.
You mean the misdemeanor?
Even a misdemeanor. I mean, you can go to jail for a year. You do it at halftime. I mean, talk to anybody that no one wants to go to jail even for one night.
Yeah.
So I think it's there are, and the first time you did it, even a felony, you probably get, if you had no record, probably get probation. So you probably wouldn't even go to jail. But the second time it was a misdemeanor, then you might get some jail time. And I mean, it's definitely there are consequences. And, they're saying, well, what if they do multiple times? That's actually, even the people I was debating with, they all said the money value is not really the issue. It's more about like people that are repeat offenders. And so I think there is going to be, I think the law is going to change because there's sort of this backlash now. Everyone's like in total fear of, even though violent crime's gone down, or it's different in different parts of the state, different parts. I mean, it really has nothing to do with who's the DA, and it's like way more complicated. There's COVID and economics and all kinds. There's so many things.
A lot of different things at play in.
Yeah, so it's like.
But wasn't it under? Sorry to interrupt, but wasn't it under the current DA that was like put in place?
No, that law's been around forever.
Really?
Not forever, but a long. I think it was like.
Yeah, you know more than I do about this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was way before Gascon took over. I think they're saying he had something to do with like enacting it or like writing it or something. I don't know. I don't think so, but it existed, with Jackie Lacey and actually crime went down right afterwards. Those theft crimes and now, like I said, I think they're going up because people now are being told, oh, nothing's going to happen. Like, but 10 years ago, no one would even think of just going into a store, grabbing tons of stuff. I mean, some people would, but and just walking out. And now they see it on the news. It's like copycat crimes. Like the news is creating these crimes, basically.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. But what would your message to the family who's like loses like half the month's earnings for they fall victim to something like that? What would your response be to their fear that the consequences aren't good enough for destroying their livelihood?
Well, I'd say we need to get to the root of the issue. Why are people doing this in the first place? Is it because they're being emboldened by the fearmongers, or there's copycat crimes, or are they just, as it could be our educational system or our economic system, people are really stealing it to make a living or whatever, or they're hungry, or it's horrible if you start a business. Yeah, obviously I feel for anyone who lost their business. I mean, most of these, I don't know. I guess it happens everywhere. Most of them are these huge chains, and not that this makes it better, but they're probably insured. Maybe now insurance has gone up. They're saying like they stole thousands of dollars, but with the markup, they're probably really losing like $20 or something.
But what about with these like family-owned, often by like minorities, like Koreans or Armenians or something? They have a business, and their insurance, if they were to report it and try and get justice that way, that they would their rates would go up, and then it would be like more than the original. No,
it'd be horrible. It's horrible. But what? Well, first of all, the studies show that like the harshness of sentences don't really deter crime. I mean, if you cut people's hands off for shoplifting, it probably would deter some crime. But most people, when they commit a crime, they assume they're not going to get caught, or they wouldn't do it. So the way they actually reduce crime is you make it more likely you'll get caught, which actually is more like law enforcement or things like that. But it's like the death penalty. It doesn't really. No one's like going to murder someone and go, wait, the state has a death penalty. I better not do it. Like, that's just not how people think. They're not rational. Criminals aren't like, they think in the moment. They don't think like.
Well, I mean, as a former shoplifter, I can tell you right now that I think I deserved the full force book thrown at me. I mean, not the death penalty, obviously, but
But your hands cut off.
Well, how about my freedom cut off for like a significant time, or a fine or something, or just some sort of justice for the people who are truly victimized by these petty thefts?
Well, yeah. Well, even a misdemeanor, you'd probably have to do community service, community labor, pay restitution if you got away with stuff. I mean, you're welcome to lock yourself in a room for 6 months if you really feel so bad about it.
I mean, this is the mess, I think, with the current DA. I knew someone who literally, like, killed a passenger because she took so much Xanax. You know, she's, like, 17 years old, kills the passenger on the Tuna Canyon. Oh, my gosh, I'm saying too much about that on Instagram. But anyway, so this girl, well, all right.
This hypothetical person.
No, this is a real person, and that's why I got nervous about just saying it, all those details right now. She got put on community service for about 1.5 years, and then she was left off the hook for, just like accidental manslaughter, and I don't know. It's just like under the current DA, that they call that justice. Like somebody died, like, I mean.
Right, you could get into, let's say you weren't on Xanax and you were, like, ran through a red light just accidentally and you killed someone. Someone died. It's horrible, but that wouldn't even be a crime. It'd be a lawsuit.
If you take a bunch of Xanax beforehand,
I'm saying, yeah, that makes it a crime, but just still someone dies. So, yeah.
Well, then that's,
and there's different levels of culpability. Like if she purposely killed the person, that'd be murder, or if she, there's different. So, I mean, if she obviously she didn't want to kill her friend or whatever. It's horrible for the family and for her, and but
well, I think she got let off hook partially because she had light skin, and the current DA likes to throw brown people in, like, down in near Inglewood, or my husband was put into what is it called, East LA. They're like, do you notice how people are segregated based on their last name or color?
He's put in East LA jail? Yeah,
but they lived in the same zip code. She was put in a completely different, better understanding court system, and I think in Glendale is where she landed up. Well, the court sent him to East LA, and it was just like he was on house arrest for.
Well, that'd be a function of where it happened. It wouldn't really have to do with what color your skin is. I mean, I think the system is inherently racist. People have, implicit biases, and there are racism and all kinds of stuff going on in the justice system, and they are treated totally different. But just where they're being charged is almost totally a function of, if it happens here, then it goes to Glendale. If it happens here, it goes to downtown. It's not. They wouldn't base that on.
How much is based on circumstance?
Well, where it's charged, it's pretty much just based on where it is.
But these crimes happen in the same area, in the same zip code.
That's strange that one would go to East LA and one would go to... Well, if it's East LA, it's a misdemeanor. And it...
Really?
Well, East LA is just a misdemeanor court, which I think it just closed down, actually.
That's the main one. That's the...
Are you talking about CCB downtown?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway,
okay. So yeah, but they wouldn't base it on. I mean, even they wouldn't. That would be so outrageous. They wouldn't base that on.
Do have some more comments on here.
Oh, okay.
So somebody said she still chose to take Xanax like a drunk driver, chose to drink and drive, should get some proper punishment for it. And then there was
really quickly, define proper punishment in your terms.
Well,
I guess it depends on what you do.
Yeah, depending on what you do. There's another one right here. How do you measure implicit bias?
How do you measure it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's that weird it's like a test on the computer you do where you like try to click really quick based on like names and race, and I don't know if you've seen that. Is that what you're talking about?
Can I read this next comment?
Yeah.
It says, if you cut one person's hand, believe me, no one else would ever steal again, just like in every other Islamic country.
But do you think that's true, that no one steals in any country where they...
How can they? They don't have hands anymore.
Well, no, they're saying that it'd be such a deterrent that no one else would do it.
Yeah.
And
well, is there some truth to that?
I mean, like I said, that probably would be a deterrent. you could end crime now if you just locked everybody up or you killed everybody, but we don't want to do that.
No, we wouldn't.
You could probably catch a lot more criminals if you got rid of the Fourth Amendment and just let the police march into anyone's home and look for evidence. I mean, there's that we waste things. We don't. That's not the only goal, is to to catch people. And then actually, in terms of punishment, I'm not into punishing just for punishment's sake. I mean, I think we should try to help people, try to rehabilitate them, in deterrence. I do understand deterrence. You do want to. Some people don't commit crimes because they don't want to go to jail or get arrested, and so there is a deterrence aspect if other people get arrested or get their hands cut off.
We have another comment that says Gascon has to go. What's your response to him?
I just don't think they know. They probably don't know what's going on reality-wise. They bought the hype of the fear mongers that crime is out of control, and some theft crimes supposedly have gone up, but like violent crime's gone down. And I would obviously prefer that violent crime goes down and theft crimes go up than vice versa. I mean, you'd rather have someone steal from you than kill you.
You mean like non-violent crimes? It's better to have non-violent crimes than violent crimes.
Correct. It's better to have no crime, but if you had to choose one or the other, and so now non-violent crimes, thefts are going up, and violent crimes actually going down, and either way, it has nothing to do with Gascon.
But could a non-violent crime, ruin somebody's life though, in a certain extent?
I'm sure there's some way it could. Yeah.
I mean, just going back to the thing about like a small, a family business being robbed and then the people just completely getting away with it. I mean, it just seems wrong.
Yeah, but anyway, none of this has to do with who the DA is, whether crime goes up or down. The trends are like nationwide, statewide. It doesn't matter which county. It's so complex, crime, like when it happens. And so they're just buying this thing. And now people are all like tough on crime. People were like anti-mass incarceration, anti-racism. Now everyone's all getting into like, oh yeah, let's just throw everyone in prison forever again. And it always goes back and forth. Like the 80s and 90s are really like harsh mandatory minimums. Let's throw people in prison forever for minor drug offenses. And people started getting more liberal. And then with George Floyd, that's the only reason Gascon even got in, because people were so sick of racism and injustice, and now everyone's like kind of starting to go the other way, where they just want to throw everyone in jail forever. And
pendulum swings.
Yeah, so
I don't
that person should vote for Gascon. You're not going to like it.
Well, he also said they don't prosecute child pedophilia. What's your response to that?
Who doesn't? If you get caught with engaging in pedophilia, believe me, you're going to be charged. No one's saying, "Oh, wow, let's let this guy go." I mean, come on. If they believe that, that's a total myth.
Someone said, implicit bias. Who inputs the information to the computer? Wouldn't the developer programmer have bias? I guess, is Gascon the programmer developer?
I think they're talking about that program I was talking about where it's hard to describe, but it's like this program that's supposed to measure implicit bias, and they click on certain things, then you say good, 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 and then you blah blah, and they do tests. Like there are these like famous study where like they'll have like a resume and they'll be exactly the same, but one will have like a traditionally white name, one will have a traditionally like black name, last name, and then the white person gets more job off. I mean, so there is this bias, and like you're taking a test, you're like, I'm not racist, I'm not gonna ding someone. So that's what they mean by implicit.
It's kind of funny though, because then I guess you're saying then the programmer itself would have to be biased, because it's like segregating people, right?
Well, that's true. Then I guess, I mean, if you think you shouldn't even believe in anything like that, then I guess so.
Okay, someone says, is this guy not watching the bills being passed?
That's what I'm talking about. The bills, they're trying to pass bills that are trying to overturn Prop 47 and the repeated. You
mean like Gascon is? So he does do stuff.
Well, no, they're talking about like bills in
that are being passed as like laws.
Yeah, laws. He not because he's doing it. The state senate and
assembly.
But he
has a part in it, right?
He could advocate for something. He's not a legislator. He can't write the law or vote on law. So So I don't know why they're asking me.
So are you saying that it doesn't matter who's DA?
Well, I think it matters like on individual cases. Like, if we had a horrible DA who's just going to like throw everybody in prison, try to as much as possible and seek the highest punishments and overcharge people just to coerce guilty pleas, and that's going to affect all those people.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to have that much of an effect on like crime overall. And
well, I mean, versus a guy who kind of like lets everybody go on misdemeanor charges who maybe are guilty.
But that doesn't happen. I'm telling you. For one thing, first of all, any misdemeanor charge that happens in the city of LA, it doesn't go to the DA, it goes to the city attorney. So Gascon has no say on the vast majority of misdemeanors in LA County, because the city of LA has the biggest population. So that has nothing to do with Gascon.
But didn't you just say that the DA does like have, it has to do with like passing certain like legislative law?
No, the DA doesn't. That's
okay. Well, then tell me again, what does the DA do?
The DA is the person who files criminal charges against people accused of crimes.
So if he's not doing that, he's not doing that, then he is guilty of not doing something, right? If he's not criminally charging people who need to be criminally charged.
Yeah, but he's not doing that. He is charging people. Otherwise, I'd be out of a job.
No. Is he charging people enough? So that's really, I think, the question.
Well, I'm saying he's charging people too much, and people don't realize it. But if you're in court, come to court with me every day, you'll see how insane it is. Like what they're doing, they charge everybody, and they overcharge everybody, and they accuse people of things they're totally innocent of, and they make mistakes and allege like that they have a prior strike conviction when they don't, and they seek high bail. They do everything the exact opposite of what Gascon says he's for. So
are you saying that the current DA is somewhat corrupt?
No, I'm saying he's not very effective because his line deputies have all rebelled against him, especially now. I think they smell blood in the water, and they're just like doing whatever they want, and they don't care because you can't. They have so much protection. You can't get. It's really hard to fire a DA even if they totally like disregard. Like I've had real jobs where if I told my boss, "Screw you, I'll do what I want," I'd be out of there that day. Where you can't. Yeah. With the DA, they have all like civil servant protection, so it actually is hard to even curtail them just totally doing whatever they want.
So that's kind of what made you want to run.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be bad because if I won, then I have to deal. And then these people are all suing Gascon because they get, fired because they are totally unethical or whatever the reason they got fired. And now they're suing, they get millions of dollars, and then we're paying for it.
Really? So wait, what's an example of Gascon being unethical?
No, he would fire like a underling. Let's say they did some unethical thing, like they hid evidence from a defendant. Let's just say that's hypothetical.
So they're the unethical one. Okay.
Right. And so he fires them.
Yeah.
And then they sue him because they say, oh, he was retaliated against because blah, blah, blah. And we have all these protections. And then the county settles for $1 million that we all have to pay, even though that's the only way to get rid of some of these DAs.
I see. Okay.
Now I do have a question. So as a criminal defense attorney, so you do, I'm saying that you have quite a big passion for defending criminals, right?
Well, people charged with crimes.
Right. Well, yes, that's correct.
People who
are charged with crimes, right?
People don't believe me, but like 90% of my clients are innocent. Right?
Yeah. Now, where do you fall with Trump? Because he was charged as a crime. So where do you fall on this? Is he allowed to be running right now and be elected?
Well,
would you support him with that?
He's definitely allowed to run because the Constitution only has very few restrictions on who can run for president. Right. You have to be over 35 and a natural-born citizen, and that's basically it.
Right, but as a criminal defense attorney, would you support him for running?
I mean, I support his right to run. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I think it'd be pretty funny if he was running from prison or being president in prison. I mean, just for a humorous
It's called White House arrest.
White House arrest. That's a good one. He's not even going to go to jail. He's going to get probation or something. And, and he probably should because they're nonviolent offenses. He's technically a first-time offender, although I think he's had a pretty sketchy history of who knows. And I don't know, that case, it doesn't seem that. Like, who's really victimized? I mean, did it really affect the election? Everyone knew he was, had sex with Stormy Daniels, and then he paid to cover it up. Everyone knew that already. Right. And so, okay, so he used election funds instead of his own or whatever the thing was. It's like, I don't think it's, I'm not like going, oh, thank God they got him. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of his. And it's probably going to help him anyway. I think he raised like millions and millions of dollars just based on it. So even if you don't like Trump, you probably shouldn't even be for that. But yeah, he should be able to run for president.
Now, with your past being a porn editor and then now jumping to law, what is the biggest difference between those two?
Pretty much the same.
Same.
No, I don't know.
What?
No. Well, I did joke as I was interviewed. Like I said, in both jobs, I spent a lot of hours writing articles or motions that nobody reads. Because judges a lot of times don't read your motions, and nobody reads articles in Hustler magazine, basically. And so, so that's a similar, but no, they're a lot different. You know, it's totally different.
They're pretty different, though, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like it's a big jump, I would say. I mean, sort of.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's a totally different job. One's writing articles, editing articles, and I mean, yeah, it's just like the difference between being a mailman and a doctor. I mean, they're totally different jobs.
Yeah, totally different.
I guess you're trying to seek the truth in both or something, but they're not really too related. Although we did fight for the little guy and fought for justice in the First Amendment at Hustler. It's a big First Amendment magazine or whatever, and I do the same thing as a criminal defense attorney. So I guess there's some similarities there.
Okay, we do have 10 minutes, so that's cool. But we're doing pretty good. A lot of engagement from everybody. Oh, look, we got another one. Okay, do you think OJ did it?
Okay, I think
Just keep in mind he just died.
He just died. He probably did it. I think it's possible, very possible. I mean, not very possible. It's theoretically possible he didn't do it. I think there was reasonable doubt. I think the jury got it right. I think they did maybe try to frame a guilty person, like they went overboard and maybe did plant the blood, and then Mark Furman was a racist, and so, and then he was found liable, like civilly. So I think the jurors both said jurors got it right. And what else? What about Clinton? I don't know.
Do you have any did you have any high profile cases?
Yeah, but I probably shouldn't talk about them.
Okay.
Very high profile.
Somebody said, does he think that Trump should have been prosecuted?
I don't know about this.
Kind of just say he did it, and that's just the way it is.
Well,
as a first-time offender.
I don't know too much. I mean, I was going to really look into that case. I mean, it does sound like he did something weird. Who knows? I think these other cases are more serious.
Was it perhaps lawfare? Have you heard that term buzzing around?
I heard that lawfare. Yeah, they're just trying to get him or whatever. I don't know. I think he's gotten probably away with more than he's been prosecuted for. I mean, everyone knows he's a shady businessman, and he doesn't pay his lawyers even, and he's just like not a very moral guy. So, I mean, maybe this isn't the thing. Like he even says, I'm like Al Capone. They got me on tax evasion when I'm really like this horrible murderer or something. I mean, he didn't say that, but that's like, even he's comparing himself to Al Capone, that they're getting him on this technicality.
So you think Biden is better?
Better than Trump, yeah.
You think Biden is, well, what about like, the issues that he comes with?
Like what?
Well, you see that he's, he has some physical limitations.
Oh, that he's old? Well, yeah, he's older than, Trump's, I don't know. I could see Trump dropping dead any moment too. I'm surprised he's actually hasn't had a heart attack and died yet.
It's not so much about a heart attack. It's about like, possible brain deterioration, that plaque buildup that happens in some cases, brain, whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, no one's as sharp as they were. I'm not as sharp as I was when I was like.
No, but I'm talking about 20s. Dementia.
I don't know. If you hear him talk, I don't think he has dementia. Yeah, he makes some verbal gaffes like everybody does. People make a big deal about it. I think he's pretty sharp for his age. Reagan ran the country, and he really did have dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's the thing. Whoever's president, that's also. Now
I'm okay. I wasn't around when Reagan was president, so I can't really speak on that. But I mean, do you think that having dementia makes it so you can't talk, you can't like say words that someone else tells you to say?
No, I'm saying people say he does mess up words, but that's not dementia necessarily.
But he messes up whole phrases, and it is. My grandma died of dementia.
Trump just said that he thinks that Hannibal Lecter was a great hero. I think he was talking about maybe Hannibal the general. I have no idea. Maybe he likes Hannibal Lecter, even though he's a fictional character.
That sounds like fake news.
Okay, watch the video. Okay. I don't know. I mean, you're a Trumper. You know, everyone's. I don't. You know, I'm not. I'm pretty objective. You know, I'm not like. I don't worship Biden. I don't like think Trump's like the worst thing that ever happened in the universe. I've never been a fan of Trump, even like in the '80s when he was a Democrat. I just always thought he's kind of a douchebag.
Again, I wasn't around.
I mean,
No
if you're not into sexism, then you really shouldn't be into Trump. And he's like way worse than
Who said anything about sexism?
Well, I'm just saying you're talking about. I don't think you're a big fan of pornography. I mean, if you're like,
Do you think pornography is sexist?
no, I'm saying you might think that. It seems like you're anti-porn, though, what you're saying.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
not.
interesting. I mean, I
Maybe
I
I'm
never.
sexist by accusing you of that. Sorry.
No, I mean, I never. So yeah, I never paired sexism with that.
Okay, well, a lot of people think that, but I think Trump, you know, he's, you know, kind of misogynist guy. You know, he's when he's talking about Rosie, he's like, oh, that, whatever. You know, he's just.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of him, but if you like him, you like him.
Yeah. I mean,
He's entertaining.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a question because when I noticed you gave me your card, you had the Mickey Mouse on there, which is really cute. I like that. But you also had a verse on there.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering what your like, why'd you put that on there?
Yeah, well, actually, I had that because I have laying down the law. Well, the card is based. It's kind of obscure, but most people don't even
I
know.
don't have it with me, but
Oh yeah, the card is based on. I don't have one on me either. On Jack T. Chick, who's like, I don't know if you know his little tracks. They're like these religious tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So the card is based on one of his tracks, and he always like he'll say something and then have an asterisk, and then have the asterisk go to a Bible verse.
Okay.
So I had as my card laying down the law,
Mm-hmm.
and so I put as the verse is this really weird verse where these kids make fun of this prophet, and then so God sends down a she bear and kills them all.
Right.
So it's just kind of a crazy verse. So I just,
Yeah, it is a crazy. I don't know which
You could
verse
read
it
it,
is.
yeah.
Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Hold on, I'm trying to.
I can't even remember what it is. Like Kings 2.
Yeah,
something.
it is. Hold on, but I don't know which one it is.
But yeah, a lot of people ask me that in the debates. Like they're like, oh, what's this verse? And I just think it's such a crazy verse in the Bible, like because it's like Yahweh sending down these she bears to kill a bunch of kids for making fun of a prophet. So I think that's like an example of laying down the law. So.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering because I was like, huh, okay. Let me see.
But it's more just like it's like a parody of those Chick tracks. That's what the whole card is.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't know what they are.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It's funny. One time I used one of those cards in a case. And they like when you get a case, they ask for your business card. And so in the file they had the card like that. They had laying down the law. And we're talking back in chambers, and the judge is like, well, just tell your client you're laying down the law. And I was like, well, that's funny. I say that all the time. I'm surprised you said that. It's like, well, it's on your card, because I usually don't give that card.
Oh, yeah, I found it. So it says, he went up from there to Bethel, and while he was going up on the way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him, saying, "Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head." That's funny. And he turned around, and when he saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord, and 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the boys. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just think it's such a crazy Bible passage. That
My brother wrote a song about that passage.
Really?
It's really good too.
Oh, I'd like
yeah.
to hear that. What's it called?
It's called Chick Track.
No
Chick
way.
Track, yeah.
Chick Track?
Yeah. He's like, Yahweh.
That's not
with
even
the
in a Chick Track. What? I got to hear that.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing, because I didn't know about that.
You know, I
wondering.
first moved here. I went to the Chick Tract headquarters, and they were very friendly. They gave me these very rare Chick Tracts that were like not published anymore, and I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's sick, though.
They're telling me we're out of time.
Oh
so.
man, we just got started. We didn't
No.
even reach yet anything.
I know. Honestly, I had so many more questions because I think it's been a very insightful conversation with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank
been
you so
very
much.
good.
Very
Yeah.
interesting conversation. We
Thank-
covered a lot of topics, and
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining
I'll
us
come
today.
back anytime if
Oh,
you want
that's
to have me
good.
again.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah,
All
I'd
right.
love to have you back.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
But that was really cool. I actually loved having so many different topics to talk to you about.
Oh, right. Got
Yeah.
way all over the place.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you.
right.
And I hope to definitely have you back on.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, any more words? Actually,
And-
I do have one. Can I ask one
Oh,
more
yeah,
question?
no, of
Okay,
course.
one more question for you. Advice to Gen Z.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Gen Z, I think you guys should be more, I don't know, get out there more, get off your phones, off the computer, get into reality, hang out with each other, go to, when I was a kid, we went to actual arcades and like played each other and live and, went to roller skating rinks and, rode bikes and did stuff and, do stuff
Yeah.
like that. Get off the screens and and live life and drive and do stuff.
Yeah.
Don't take Xanax when you do it.
Best thing. That's amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much for that advice, and thank you for coming on. Anywhere some people can find you?
You can go to Kapelovitz.com. You can go to Kapelavision.com. I have a lot of my film stuff on Vimeo, and we haven't touched into the film stuff. We can get next time, but just Google me. You'll find me.
That'd be amazing.
I'm pretty easy to reach.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
great,
Tara, anything else?
No, I just go to our website at 180shift.org and follow us. You can watch our YouTube from there, and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and check us out next week. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
And we're out now.